Okay, so when I first moved out of my dad's house, I wasn't able to bring all my books with me. All the books I had read, I put in boxes, and all the books I hadn't read, I just left out on a dresser. I will insert a pic here so you can see how crazy it looks. So essentially, I just have like a shit ton of books at my dad's house that I have not read. So I decided this most recent visit that I would take some home with me and do a little haul of books I already owned, but that I'm going to be adding to my shelves now. The first of which is Elizabeth I by Anne Somerset. This is a biography of Queen Elizabeth I. There's really nothing else to say about it. I'm actually currently reading it. It's interesting so far, but I'm only on page 100 out of like 600, so who knows how this is gonna go. Next, I have The Silmarillion by J.R.R. Tolkien. This book takes place before the events of The Lord of the Rings, I believe. That's all I know about it. I do really want to read The Lord of the Rings this year, so I'm hoping that if I get through that, I can go through some Tolkien's other work, which I think would be really fun. Then I have two books that are part of the same series. I don't know which is the first one. This one says book 2. So book 1 is The Wayfarer Redemption, and book 2 is Enchanter by Sarah Douglas. I actually don't even know how many books are in this series. I just always assumed it was 2, which probably isn't right. All I know is this is high fantasy. The back says, for 1,000 years, the Echarites have lived prosperous lives, protected by vast and insurmountable mountains, and the powerful Senestal guarded the mysterious way of the plow and intermediaries within the Great Guard Artor. But now Aegir's security is threatened as a millennia-old prophecy predicting the return of the Forbidden Ones flares into life. An unnatural winter grips the land as the Ice Lord Gorgrel moves his armies of demonic wraiths and ice worms south. I couldn't say like half of those words, but I've been in the mood for fantasy, like high fantasy recently, and I already had these, so I thought why not pick them up or take them home with me. I don't know why I'm saying things. Then I brought The Running Man by Stephen King. This book, it says on the back, "Welcome to America in 2025. Remember when that was like a nonsense year, just way off into the future? Because I do. And now it's next fucking year. Let's not talk about it. When the best men don't run for president, they run for their lives in the ultimate death game." So that's all I know. I picked it up because it was short and I thought it'd be good for like a little readathon or something. I really like Stephen King. I'm a sucker for Stephen King, so here I am. Then I have The Professor and the Madman by Simon Winchester. Simon? A tale of murder, insanity, and the making of the Oxford English Dictionary. So that's pretty self-explanatory. This is a non-fiction book about the making of the Oxford English Dictionary. I don't know why, but I've always been interested in this book. I just never picked it up. And it's only like 240 pages, so I have no reason not to pick this up. And it's apparently a national bestseller, so I mean I have to. Then I have Flowers of Evil by... what's his first name? Is it Charles? It doesn't say his first name. Yeah, it does. Charles Baudelaire. I'm sorry, I can't speak French. This is a collection of poems. This was given to me by a family I used to babysit for because they thought that my photography gave them these vibes, which is lovely, just based off of the title Flowers of Evil. I love that. I had started it forever ago. Oh, there's my little tarot card still in there. I had started it forever ago but never finished it. I think it would be a fun thing to go into though and read slowly. I want to give poetry more of a shot. I'm not a big poetry girl, but I would love to be. Next we have Blonde Roots by Bernardine Evaristo. This book asks, what if the history of the transatlantic slave trade had been reversed and Africans had enslaved Europeans? How would that have changed the ways that people justified their inhumane behavior? How would it inform our cultural attitudes and the insidious racism that still lingers today? My sister had to read this for a class at university and she ended up giving it to me like years ago. I've never read it, but the premise sounds really, really interesting, so I want to give it a shot. I just can't win with all these car alarms going off. The next book is The Near Witch by Victoria Schwab, aka V.E. Schwab. This was her first ever book, which is the only reason I bought it, just because I like her work so much. It takes place in a town called Near, and there are no strangers in the town. But when an actual stranger, a boy who seems to fade like smoke, appears outside Lexi's home on the moor at night, she knows that at least one of these things is no longer true. The next night, the children of Near start disappearing from the beds, and the mysterious boy falls under suspicion. That's as far as I'm going to read in the synopsis. It sounds interesting. I want to read everything V.E. Schwab writes, so here I am. Then I have The Shards of Heaven by Michael Livingston. This book is like takes place in Rome, but it also has a fantasy element. So it takes place after Julius Caesar is assassinated. Octavian, Caesar's ambitious great-nephew and adopted son, vies with Mark Antony and Cleopatra for control of Caesar's legacy. Meanwhile, Juba, Numidian prince and adopted brother of Octavian, has embarked on a ruthless quest for the Shards of Heaven, lost treasure said to possess the very power of the gods, or the one god. Driven by vengeance, Juba has already attained the fabled trident Poseidon, which may also be the staff once wielded by Moses. Now he will stop at nothing to obtain the other shards, even if it means burning the entire world to the ground. I had no idea when I bought this. Like, I have no memory of this book at all. But it's hardcover, it's fantasy, it's Roman inspired. I'm gonna give it a shot. After that, there's another fantasy book, The Crown Tower by Michael J. Sullivan. Again, I just picked this one up because it's fantasy. The back says, Hadrian Blackwater, a warrior with nothing to fight for, is paired with Royce Melbourne, a thieving assassin with nothing to lose. Hired by an old wizard, they must steal treasure that no one can reach. I know that this is like part of a series, or like this series is part of a greater series. I don't know where to start, but I already have this one, so I'll start here. Then the last three are much easier to describe, and we'll go by quickly. The Life of Death of Anne Boleyn by Eric Ives. I didn't know this was by a man. Love the cover. I want to learn more about Anne Boleyn. Here I am. On a similar note, Joan of Arc, A Life Transfigured by Katherine Harrison. Biography of Joan of Arc. Would love to know more. I think she's so cool. Look at this. She looks so cool. I want to look like that. And lastly, we have The Chronicles of Narnia. I've had this beautiful Barnes & Noble edition with like gilded edges for so long, and I've only ever read the first book, so I think it would be fun to go back into it and read the whole series, especially now that I'm on a fantasy kick. So there you go. Those are all the books that I brought from home that I'm adding to my TBR. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon with another video. Goodbye.